when you learn, teach, and when you get, give.
Hello, welcome to Conversations with Verdel Jones. I'm your host, Verdel Jones, and being an educator at heart, I'm dedicated to sharing conversations that inform and enlighten in the hopes that you learn something you may not have known. We have an awesome show for you today. I'm just so excited for the guests that we're going to be having on the show tonight. Really dynamic people who are doing great things in our community, and I am so excited to be able to to bring to Conversations with Verdel Jones. So we're going to get to that in a minute, but before we do, I would like to thank our partnership sponsors. We have Nancy Vargas Johnson. She is a realtor, so if you're looking to buy or sell a home, Nancy really is your woman. She was here a few weeks ago talking about real estate and just the ins and outs about it, and she gave some really great advice about buying and selling a home and what you should look for in a realtor. And this is her life. She's not a part-time realtor. She is a full-time realtor. This is her bread and butter, so she really takes this seriously. And I always share the story about her selling my grandfather's house for my father, and she's just a great woman. So if you're again looking to buy or sell a home, give her a shout out. Her contact information is there. Also, I would like to also thank DMAC Bri-V Jiu-Jitsu System. He was on the show not that long ago as well, really doing, again, great things in the community in reference to his nonprofit Jiu-Jitsu studio. So you want to look out for him as well. And then Darby Home Healthcare. If you're looking for someone to be able to take care of a family member, Darby Home Healthcare, their contact information is there as well. So one of the things I also wanted to mention is we have Conversations with Verdel Jones mugs. So that's something that new that we started. So you can be part of the conversation. So get your mug today. You can go on my website. It's verdeljones.com, and there's a link to get the mug. So join in, get the mug. It's exciting. The last thing that I kind of wanted to make sure that I mentioned to everyone is we are having another Write, Rhyme, and Recite collective. This year, we had an event, and we awarded scholarships to 3 students. It was a Poetry Slam scholarship, and we gave away $3,250 to 3 students. They filled out an application, they submitted a video of them reciting their poetry, and then we selected the top 3 students to actually compete at our Write, Rhyme, and Recite collective. And we also had authors there that were able to present their book and sell their books as well. It was such a great event. These kids were amazing. So we're doing it again next year, June 9th. Make sure you save the date. We're looking for authors to participate in the event. We're also going to be rolling out that scholarship application the beginning of the year. So if you know any graduating seniors going to college who are creatives and might be interested in something like this, please reach out to us for the application. I'll be sending it out to a lot of different organizations and also school districts as well. The students that did compete, they went to, Westbury, Central Islip, which is my alma mater, and also Walt Whitman. And they got the scholarship application from their guidance counselors. So be on the lookout for the application, and if you are an author that would like to present and sell your book at the event, you can reach out to me as well. So that takes care of that. We're going to take a short break because what I want to do is bring out Shawn Headley. She will be our first guest tonight. She is a nonprofit mentor, so we're going to talk to her about her book and what she has going on. So after the break, Shawn will be right here with me. Welcome back. As you can see, I have Shawn Headley here with me. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're talking to Shawn Headley today. She's the CEO and founder of Each One Teach One Mentoring Services, which was founded in 2013. Yes. She is also an author of The Start is What Stops Most People, 7 Simple Steps to Starting Your Nonprofit Organization. So she's not only all of that, but she's also a business owner as well.
Yes, I am.
So we'll touch a little bit on that because I want people to know about that. But we're going to really focus on your nonprofit mentoring service. I mean, I picked up the book and I was very excited to read it. It really gives you, it lays out what you need to do to start a nonprofit.
Right.
And after I read it, I think I even told you, really, the start is what stops people. So it's perfectly named.
Thank you.
So how did you get into, being a mentor for nonprofits? Like, what is your background and how did this happen?
So in 2010, I started my own nonprofit, A Stairway to Hope.
Okay.
So A Stairway to Hope was started in the Bronx. Back then I was a school safety officer.
Oh, okay.
In the 5 boroughs. And I just saw a need in my school that I was in for kids who were coming with, not the adequate clothing and stuff like that. So I started off with a clothing and coat drive.
Okay.
So 2 years that went very well. It was a big success. And then in 2010, I solidified my own nonprofit.
Okay.
I was able to actually do it myself because I ended up breaking my toe.
Oh, okay. So you had some time on your
I had
hands.
time on my hands to do that. So I did that, and it was like we are community based. We're a community outreach nonprofit.
Okay.
So we go out into the community. We feed the homeless and stuff
Is it
like that.
based in the boroughs or is it is it New York City based or is it Long Island based? Or?
It's New York City based.
Okay.
It's New York City based, 5 boroughs. I have not done anything in Long Island.
Okay.
Yeah, as of yet. But 5 boroughs we have a 5 borough feed the homeless tour.
Oh, wow.
We do community baby showers and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
nice.
anything that is where we go out
nice.
to the community, that's what we do.
Right. Okay. And how can people, just because I don't have any information about that, but how can people support you or help you, or how can people contact you in reference to that?
A Stairway to Hope is on Facebook as such, A Stairway to Hope. We are also on Instagram as A Stairway to Hope.
Okay.
And my number, through my number is, should I say now?
Yeah, go ahead.
347-499-8440. We do clothing donations and stuff like that, and
that's great.
We give back.
That's awesome. And how hard was it, or how difficult was it for you to go through the process of starting a nonprofit?
It was wow. It was back then. Whoever want to start a nonprofit now is a little more easier.
Right.
The IRS made it a little more easier. Back in 2010, back in 2010, I had to do the long version, which is 26 pages of your 501c3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I am the type of person, I ask questions. I sit on the phone, and if back then when I was trying to get my 501c up and running, and I had a broke toe, I just sat on the phone with the IRS and asked questions and got through it.
Yeah, because and and that's the thing too. Like you said, the start is what stops people. It's having the time to be able to really navigate all of, because there's a lot of jargon that you have to know. Right, exactly. And tell us a little bit about why you wrote the book. As you were going through your own process, and you started your mentoring, business service, how did you come to write the book?
Well, this book is really dedicated to my clients who, like, a lot of my clients come to me and like, I've had this in my mind for 7 years, for 5 years, for whatever, and they just did not know where to go.
Yeah.
They didn't know where to go. An attorney can make this astronomical for you, like in price.
Right.
So it that stops people, like when they see it, because
because I think the natural reaction for a lot of people is, I need an attorney, I need an accountant, I need these individuals to help me get this
You don't.
Together. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't.
And that prevent, because it's costly.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. You know, I know that. So I have an LLC, and I had the time to take a look at, and I probably missed some things because it was so much stuff to do that I tried to, you know, go to this website and figure this out, go to the state website and all that. But I'm sure I missed some things.
Listen, it happens. it happens because a lot of my clients that, you know, have maybe started the first step, and then I'll be like, oh, did you do your Office of Attorney General paperwork? And they'll be like, what's that?
Right, right, exactly, exactly.
So, you know, I take my clients through the step-by-step, you know, of all of the applications, all the things you need to do, and then the book basically shows you like what else you need. Once your paperwork is solidified, now what?
Okay, right.
So that's what the book is.
Exactly. Because you have really great, just so everybody knows, the way the book is kind of formatted, it's like a workbook.
A workbook.
Yeah, so I have notes in here.
Yes.
You know, because it was really easy to, I love the way you break things down, like having a mission statement. You know, your purpose, you know, and how to really think about it in the right way.
Yes.
So
mission statements are important. A lot of people don't see, like, people will give you money if you have a powerful mission statement and if it's aligned to theirs.
If it's aligned, right, and that's the other thing that people need to know, because a lot of people think with nonprofits that the money just starts flowing.
Yeah. yeah, they do. And you have to, a lot of people also will get incorporated and won't get the 501c3. And it's like, you're not getting money that way either.
Okay.
Go all the way through the process.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, your 501c3 is what gets you the state and government grants.
Okay.
You can't just get incorporated and think you are a nonprofit once you're incorporated, but you're a nonprofit without a 501c3.
What's the difference between how does that? I thought once you're a 501c3 that you're done.
Incorporation is first.
Okay, got it.
Incorporation is first, and then you have, just like any business, you have to get incorporated.
Right.
So it protects your name. It protects
exactly.
What you have going on. You solidify that, and then with a nonprofit, you go into that extra step to do the Office of Attorney General, which is permission to be able to solicit funds, because you are soliciting funds from the community and things of that nature. And then you have to do your 501c3, which gets you the grants and stuff like that. So that's the full circle of having your nonprofit. Okay.
Now, let me just ask you a question in reference to, should I be, because I've struggled with this as well.
Right.
Should I just be an LLC and have events and do things like that, or should I be a nonprofit?
Right.
How do people make that decision on what they should be doing in reference to either being an LLC or, you know, how do you navigate that?
If you have a cause, if you, like you said earlier in the, your segment, if you have a cause, if you're giving back and you're giving scholarships and, you know, you're for, you know, the fight of breast cancer, you're fighting mental health, things like that, those are more than likely nonprofits, and there's grants to fund
to kind of
your cause.
Okay, and you're more likely, obviously, to get those government grants.
Yes.
What about other, like, are there other grants that individuals can get that are not government grants, and a lot of them mostly nonprofit?
Well, if you want like large grants,
all right.
You go to the government for it. There are people. Like Martha Stewart has like grants for people. Different people, like, you know, franchises have grants for nonprofits, but they're not as large. They're not $1 million grants.
Right,
they're
exactly. To help you run
an efficient nonprofit
exactly.
organization.
Because, you know, individuals also are under the misconception that nonprofits, you can't earn money from a nonprofit.
That's the biggest myth.
Right. Explain that to people.
If once you become a nonprofit and you do get the grants and you do, you know, grants is not your only source of income.
Right, yes.
Let's start there.
Yes,
that's not your only source of income. You can fundraise. That's why people have galas. People raise $1 million grants, $1 million doing galas alone.
Right,
sometimes.
exactly. Okay.
Galas, you know, your money, your funds come from different sources of areas and stuff like that. And once say you raise money for the year for like $1 million. You can write your salary in your budget.
Right. So I'm the director of
You're the
X, Y, and Z, executive director, and I have a salary.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So that's the way, because people are like, oh, and even people, they don't want to work for a nonprofit because they don't think they're gonna make money. I mean, you're not gonna make money like you would be in
You're
a
not gonna
corporation.
become a millionaire,
right? But at the same time,
right.
there's benefits to working for a nonprofit.
It definitely is.
Right. Yeah. How long does the process take for individuals to become a nonprofit?
To solidify everything, the IRS gives you 90 to 120 days.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the the political
yes.
correct answer is 90 because glitches happen, things like that, and it's the IRS.
Right. Yeah.
So they do what they want. Like.
Right.
So 90 to 120 days. Definitely.
Okay.
You can have your nonprofit.
You can have it.
Yes.
Have it done.
Yes.
So, as far you have the book, you wrote the book based on what you saw the need and you kind of filled that need. What services do you actually provide your clients that that hire you to be a nonprofit mentor?
I do all of my clients' paperwork,
okay.
from EIN number to your 501c3 in your hand. So most of my clients are just, okay, Shawn, I got this in the mail today. Okay, Shawn, I got this in the mail today. What's my next step?
Right. Okay.
I also help churches.
Okay.
I also help churches because people don't realize churches are nonprofits too.
Absolutely. Right.
Churches get 501c3s as well. So I also help ministers and pastors, and actually Christmas part 2 of the book is coming out, which is the ministry edition. The ministry edition is coming out for people who want to start a ministry.
Nice. Okay, that's really helpful because they may not be aware of the funding that they could get for their church. Yes. Which is great. That's awesome. So I know you've been on a couple of shows.
I have been.
You did a book signing. So what else have you been doing, and what are the upcoming events you have going on?
I have a clothing coat drive every year.
Okay.
I also do Toys for Tots, where kids get Christmas gifts for this Christmas season. And the Christmas, my other book, that's what's coming up.
That's what's coming up.
And I'm just on different, different shows and stuff like that, just promoting the book. That's the biggest thing. I'm on the road promoting the book.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you have a daycare. Like, okay, so when do you do all this stuff?
I strictly work from home. And when people, a lot of people think like, this is my hobby. I strictly work from home.
Right.
So I do run a daycare. I do have assistants.
Okay.
So I have assistants. Me and my daughter is, 2 peas in a pod with the daycare.
Nice.
In Valley Stream. And then, once I get a nonprofit client, then I go to my office and I start
then you get to work.
Paperwork.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So you manage your time very well.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that if you are even thinking a little bit about starting a nonprofit, that you definitely pick up Shawn's book, because it really is a great tool for you to go through all of those steps. How can people, we have a contact page for you. How can people get in contact with you? We'll show that. And how else can they get in contact with you?
The book is on Amazon.
Okay.
The book is on Amazon. I am on Facebook, Shawn Headley. I am on Instagram, Shawn Headley. But each one teach one mentoring service is across the board on all social media handles.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much,
thank you so much
for
having
coming
me.
to Conversations with Verdel Jones. This is such, I love to have people on that can really help people, like really change lives. So I want to thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
And thank you for being a guest on the show.
Thank you so much.
We are going to take a quick break. Hello, welcome back to Conversations with Verdel Jones. As you see, I have another guest here, Mr. Daniel Lloyd. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, no, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So he is the founder and president of Minority Millennials. He's a social entrepreneur with 8 years of experience in establishing enterprises. I can't even read my own handwriting. I didn't type this part. That's aimed at solving social, societal challenges in an inclusive type of way.
Yes.
So I had actually. I didn't really meet you directly, but we were at a civic association meeting in Wyandotte, right, in Wheatley Heights, and you got up and you had spoke a little bit about what you do, and our daughter was there, Maya, and I said, Maya, you need to go over there and introduce yourself, and she had already had it in her mind, so and she went to one of your events, so I was really excited to get you in here to talk about what's going on in our community, because you do a lot of things, within that area. So, what is Minority Millennials?
So it's actually a grassroots 501c3 organization, and our mission is to represent minorities and millennials in any policies that affect their future. So it's absolutely a charity organization that works on representation.
Okay, so you do go to things like the civic association meetings, and what if somebody wants to get involved with Minority Millennials? What type of individual would be involved in the with Minority Millennials, basically?
Well, we're not exclusive to just the age or a generation, but in order to be considered a membership as we're growing, we do want it to be someone that is either a minority or millennial within that age specific. So 18 to 35,
right?
And either minority again or millennial. So you can be white, black, Latino, Spanish, but it has to fit in those requirements.
It has to fit. Okay.
So when we do start rolling out our specific programs. And our services, that's who we're targeting. That's how we get the scaling.
And how, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and just in general, as your last interview was referring to, is that when you start applying for grants, you have to be very specific on what problem you're solving.
Right, absolutely. So what problem are you guys solving?
That's the funny thing. So right now what we're doing is we're extracting as much information as to what our generation is saying is the problem. We've only been around for a year. We started in October of 2017.
All right, nice.
And as we grow and as we get an idea of what our generation and what our members are saying are their problems, because what happens is a lot of us start saying we have problems, but we don't know or really
can't really
articulate how it's affecting us.
Absolutely.
And so, but what we have been seeing is some of the things is obviously student loans. It's a little cliche, but student loans. Housing.
That's even Gen X. I'm a Gen Xer. I still have issues with student loans.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's real. Right. It's real, and it's only getting worse.
It's only getting worse. Exactly.
And so we're rolling out programs now that will provide solutions to that, and I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah.
And what are some other things? Now, well, let me before I ask you that. How are you? You're a Long Island-based organization, so you're reaching out to millennials and minorities within the Long Island area to get that information. Okay, and how do you get the information? Like, what are the type of ways you go? You and your organization go about collecting this data?
Well, so we absolutely utilize social media. Obviously, that's a great counterpart of our generation. But we also hold events where we try to make the issues that we're talking about more appealing. So if it is voting or if it is representation, we really try to tap into the psyche of what our generation is saying through different exchange of ideas. And in those meetings, either it's our members already or we're trying to recruit new members. And that's where we talk about these problems.
Got it.
And then we vote on what problems we want to tackle first.
Oh. Now, how does membership work?
Right now, it's honestly, you just sign up on a Google form. It's real simple. It's real practical. We're just trying to get as many people to say that this is something that we all belong to. We're actually rolling out an end-of-the-year program that's going to say, I am a minority millennial, and what do you do? So it's not something that it's like, it's just me, or is this that we want inclusive representation, again, of a generation on Long Island that's looking to be properly represented in the next 20 to 30 to 50 years. Because it's a serious, it's a serious problem. But if we create the solutions and really step up to the plate, we can have a lot of equity.
Right, exactly.
In our time.
So what does that look like? In other words, you have this issue that needs to be addressed. So how do you, as a minority millennial organization, a nonprofit, how do you make those changes? How do you go about doing that? What does it look like in practice?
Yeah, so that's kind of like a quasi-tiered approach, but let's just start from the beginning to be very, honest. We have to change the narratives. and our community's mindsets. You know, I always say I'm from Wyandanch, 11798. I'm actually right there on the borderline, the hamlet of that. But I used to grow up saying that I was from Crime Dance because I dealt with identity issues.
Right.
You know, just trying to fit into certain things. I'm mixed race, so if I go too far to the left, I'm a little corny. I go too far to the right, I'm doing too much.
Right, you do too much. Right, yeah. That's interesting. You're right. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so we're trying to change the disempowering narratives. Our goal, let's say, for instance, let's just stick with Wyandanch. In 5 years, no one in the next generation is going to say with pride, I'm from Crime Dance. We want to change that.
Change that narrative.
Exactly.
I got you.
And that's across the board in any disempowering communities.
Right.
And then the second thing is once we're able to fully get an identity of who we are, what are our problems, so that we start articulating those problems, and ownership across the board again. And so once we start getting from those basic issues with regards to identity, we get into home ownership, which is a big thing for my generation. I'm 32.
Right.
And that's going to be one of the programs that we're rolling out too, as well as this concept of mini condos, like really just different solutions that are around the nation, but bringing it back to
bringing it back, right? Because you know, I talk to my children, and they're millennials, 22 and 26, and the thought of home ownership to them is like, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know if they don't want a home, or they don't think they can attain a home, or they don't want the type of home that we live in. I think there's a little change in the thinking, because I've also read something where millennials see their parents working, and they don't want it to be that way for them when they get little, I guess, reward from their efforts.
Exactly.
And
a lot of this, there's so much change going on in society and in culture with each generation. Gen Z, the next generation, is way different than even my generation. But a lot of millennials want experiences. We want to travel, we want to do this, that, and the third. But we also want to do employment where we feel like we're fulfilling a need in society. And the idea of the American dream, which really came out of Long Island.
Right.
Which is what we talk about all the time. That was the first suburbia.
Right, exactly. Yes.
And so what we're trying to say is, like, let's create the new suburbia.
It looks different.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we still appreciate.
Right.
I was gone for 10 years. I lived in Newark, New Jersey. I wanted to get as far away from Long Island as possible.
Right.
Now that I come back, I get it. I appreciate what a suburb is. I'm not afraid to say I'm from the suburbs. Not afraid, but I'm not like.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. And so now, but let's redefine it so that we can keep our next generation here with different things. So my point is with that, with mini condos, maybe it's not going to get a house for $350,000 when you got to put $80,000 down.
Right. Who can do that?
It's very difficult.
Right. Exactly.
But if there's a mini condo that's $180,000 that we own. We have investment into the community.
Right.
The elders in our community will let it with regards to zoning, because that's a big holdup that's going on right now in Wheatley Heights.
Yes, it is.
And so there's a solution right there. We're bridging the gap between all the needs within our community.
Right, because you always hear this. It's always in Newsday every other. Maybe every 6 months about the brain drain. Yeah. People leaving Long Island because of the expense of Long Island. But then, like, another point that you made is you have individuals who are resistant to that. Meanwhile, they're really hurting themselves. There's going to be too much traffic, or there's going to be, or whatever it might be, to stop the progress and make it affordable and appealing to younger people. It's really a problem.
And we won't be able to sustain.
There's
a great report that Rutha Fernandez and Teresa Sanders from Urban League put out. And I always talk about this report every single time I talk about Minority Millennials, because in the state of Black Long Island, they say that by 2050, 1 in 3 people of Long Island will be people of color.
Wow, okay.
That's a huge statistic. Right. That's a huge fact. That's our generation.
Right, absolutely.
And if we don't do a good job of making sure that we're properly represented in every aspect of Long Island by 2050, our equity and our worth and our value in these communities is going to be much worse than it has been in the last 50 years. And so we have to be proactive in what we're doing. And with regards to the brain drain, our community leaders have so many different issues with change. Because Long Island is, we pride ourselves on traditions because of, we were the first suburbia. But we won't be able to sustain what it means to have the American dream.
We sure won't. No, it's, and that's sad, because, like, for our children, again, they're at that age, they want to live in Brooklyn.
That's another big thing. Yeah.
You know, they want to be away from here. Now they really can't afford Brooklyn, so it'll probably be Queens.
Yeah. And now look with Amazon, that's completely.
Right. Yeah. You know what? I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. You know, because it's not attractive. There's not. You know, they're building up a lot of areas around train stations, I think, to make it more attractive. I think people do realize that this is something that needs to happen, but there needs to be more and more of that. Yeah,
and also that's a huge thing with regards to our generation is that we are separated with regards to who we hang out with and what we do, right? And the nightlife is a big thing. So a lot of us rather go to Brooklyn or Harlem or to whatever, you know, in the Bronx now and in Queens to enjoy nightlife. But why, when we can establish something with regards to zoning, that's one of the biggest things that we're trying to advocate for.
Okay.
If we have proper representation on these town boards and school boards, which we do not, then we can have someone that understands our mindset when it comes to zoning policies.
Okay.
If we're able to put maybe, not necessarily a lounge that's open to 4 o'clock, but a lounge that's open to 1 o'clock. But the people that are running are inclusive, they're invested into the community, so we want to make sure that the narrative of that nightlife is something that's retaining our young professionals here on Long Island.
So you're really looking for millennials that could be in the spaces where they're not politically.
Absolutely.
To make
absolutely.
Right, to make those changes.
We're going full force next year.
Right.
I'm serious. School boards, we're already in the process of making sure that there's no millennial on the Suffolk County Legislature.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Almost, if I'm correct, and you know, quote me if I'm wrong, but there's no millennials in any town board.
Wow.
Suffolk County.
Right. Suffolk County. Right.
Suffolk County is very traditional.
Right. It's very traditional.
Yeah. And there's almost none on some school boards, but there is some millennials on school boards, but there's a lack of representation of minorities on school boards.
Absolutely.
Right. Amityville. And so, you know, Huntington, these are some of the things that we're going to be implementing.
I love it.
Representation.
I love it. I love it. So can you share with everyone any upcoming events that you might have?
Yes. Well, we actually just finished a bunch of events.
Okay.
So, you know, we're going to be taking a break a little bit. Well, we do have a very exciting event coming up this Saturday, December 1st, at Wyandanch High School. And it's in partnership with the Kappas, which is with Principal Paul Sibley's. He's an amazing brother, amazing mentor.
Yeah.
He's really changing the narrative of the school environment over there.
Absolutely.
It's very positive. It's very uplifting and empowering. But that event is called Kappas and Rappers.
Okay.
Now, that's Gen Z.
Okay.
But one of the goals for Minority Millennials is to start investing into Gen Z with mentoring and different initiatives. And not only that, make everything that we're trying to say more appealing. Our generation, our parents understand it, so it's not really hard to convince you guys like what we're trying to do. But the next generation looks at us like, what are y'all trying to do? Like, what is this really?
And
so we can get across what we're trying to do in a way that's appealing to them, Kappas and rappers. So we have a lot of local artists and some big radio DJs, DJ Spin King, coming from New Jersey and Power 105. That's going to talk to them, perform, but we're also going to talk about what it means to have influence through your vote. And I asked them, I'm going to ask them specifically, what are the problems you say that you have? You know, we all have a crazy life and there's a lot of pain. So what are those problems? And then if you're saying you have a problem, you can change that very specifically by utilizing your local vote and influence. And that's one last thing actually too.
That's true.
Is we're going to be advocating a lot for early registration in New York. California just did it. Where 16-year-olds will be able to register, pre-register to vote by the time they're 18. So when they graduate, they're ready to go.
They're good to go.
But not only that, we can cultivate that vote now.
That's right. That's
we can
right.
Get them prepared for what's coming
absolutely.
On.
That's smart. I love this. This is exciting.
No, we're excited. No, we're absolutely excited.
I love it. I love it. You know, I work in a school. I've been an educator for over 20-something years, 24 years, and you know, it's up to the younger generation, you know, to keep it going. So I'm so proud of the work that you're doing and you know, working with, you know, other millennials to really get it going and keep it going, you know?
And that's the thing, right? You got to keep the momentum
You got to keep the momentum going, absolutely. So this is great work. I'm so looking forward to, you know, okay, is there any space for, you said minority or millennial, but it's not just millennials. So how can old people get involved?
we always like to say experienced or wise. Listen, you can't buy wisdom.
Right.
If I could, I would, but you can't. And so that's the biggest thing, is bridging the gap. That's one of our
absolutely, yes,
especially
definitely, because we think we know what we're doing.
But you do. You know, like if you look at it, like.
But we have to look at a new perspective,
exactly.
a new way of doing things, and really, you know, I have a handle on that because I've been working with kids, you know, for the longest time. Not kids, younger people, you know, so, but that, I think that's part of the challenge too, having the older generation really understand, they know what they're doing, they're not kids, you know, they have ideas and they do things maybe a little differently.
That's a big thing, ideas. And so we actually really advocate about bridging the gap between policy and culture.
Okay.
And that's kind of like, you know, Gen X, baby boomers, and even Gen Z and millennials, like how we all coming together to figure out how, making sure that all these problems that we're saying that we're having for the last 60 years, because it could get deep.
That's
you know,
right.
You know, and I'm sure you're very well aware of all those problems.
Yep.
That it's stopping with Gen Z.
Right.
You know, hopefully that generation, the 15-year-olds, growing up in a digital age.
Yes, very
social
different.
Media, they have so much access to information.
Yes, they do.
That it takes them this route where they're very empowered and able to cultivate their ideas rather than going the other route where they're distracted and falling into
exactly
those dark spaces and whatnot. So.
Definitely, definitely. So again, if people want to get in contact with you, I do have your contact information. So if we can show Minority Millennials contact information, how I think I have everything up there, but how can people get in contact with you?
Well, Minority Millennials across the board on Facebook, on Instagram. Our website is minoritymillennials.org. It's the same thing for all social media. And you can get in contact with me at Danny J. Lloyd across the board. That's Instagram and Facebook as well.
Okay, well, I want to thank you so much for being here. This was a
pleasure.
Yes. Thank you, thank you. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have our Educator Spotlight. So we're excited about that. See you in a minute.
Dropping gems from Keisha Christian. She's on a mission, sharing information, knowledge for soul, body and mind. Dropping gems, KeishaGems.com, KeishaGems.com.
Hello, welcome back to Conversations with Verdel Jones. We are going to now have our Educator Spotlight. Venice Richards has been an educator since 2001 and has been passionate about educating children since she was 7. She is also an entrepreneur, director, executive producer, a college professor, and last but not least, a sickle cell warrior. At the age of 6 months, Venice was diagnosed with sickle cell. After countless surgeries throughout her life and near-death experiences, she decided to become her own advocate. At the age of 22, she set out to learn everything about healing herself. As an educator, Venice began to realize that there was a lack of understanding and awareness of sickle cell within the schools. And as a result, she created unique educational opportunities for school districts and became a liaison between the families of children with sickle cell. She tutored students that were sick in the hospital. She had them come into her classroom when they weren't feeling well. And although she was a teacher, she had an open door policy and monitored these students and communicated with their family members through social media. She has worked on countless fundraisers to help students suffering from sickle cell. Since 2013, she started a lot of activities, a gospel show, car washes, classroom projects, school-wide projects, district-wide projects, county walks, city walks, and more. She has really embraced the effort to raise funds for awareness and a cure for sickle cell. And over the years, she's been able to help raise thousands of dollars for various sickle cell organizations. So as you could see, we are really, really excited to honor Venice Richards. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to bring Venice here and we'll be able to talk to her about what she's been doing to help sickle cell awareness. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
How do I get my child into the best college? Why is early planning imperative in the college process? In her new book, The Parent Agent, Verdel Jones answers these questions and more. What does it mean to be a parent agent? As a parent agent, you represent your child to help them get into the college of their choice. Strategies learned in this book will help you create opportunities for your child that will develop them into successful individuals. Verdel Jones is an experienced educator with over 20 years' experience. She has personally visited hundreds of college campuses and holds extensive knowledge about the higher education selection process and has helped hundreds of students. She has also successfully been a parent agent for her own children. In her new book, The Parent Agent, you will be given concrete information on how to visit colleges, learn why knowing your child is critical in finding the right college, understand why starting early can make all the difference in keeping your child on track for higher education, gain an understanding of the financial aid process, and discover steps needed to financially plan for college expenses. You will also receive useful resources and checklists to keep you organized and focused. All of this information and more is contained in Verdel Jones's new book, The Parent Agent. So let this book be your guide through the college process to get to the end goal, your child enrolling into the college of their choice. To get your copy of The Parent Agent, go to deliteach.com and order your book today.
Welcome back. As you can see, we have our educator who is in the spotlight, is Venice Richards. So I want to thank you so much for being here. And I also want to thank Broad Hollow Psychotherapy for sponsoring this segment. And we have a little gift for you, a $50 gift certificate to Amazon. So enjoy that. Thank you, Broad Hollow, for that. You know, I read your bio and a little bit about you. You know, you've been an educator since 2001, so you've been in the profession for a long time. And one of the things that really kind of struck me was, you know, we were at an event and you gave a beautiful testimony about, you know, everything that has gone on with you physically, you know, and it was amazing. It was a great event. It was really a great event.
Yeah, it was. Definitely wonderful.
Explain, because I mentioned in the bio, you know, not only are you an educator, but you're also a sickle cell warrior.
Yes.
What is sickle cell?
Sickle cell disease is a disease that affects the blood. Mm-hmm. And what happens is that the red blood cells, they eventually sickle. They go into a sickle shape.
Mm-hmm. And like a literal sickle shape.
Literally.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, kind of snags and tears at your veins and your arteries.
Wow.
And your joints and your organs and any place where blood flows.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. This is a condition that is happening throughout your body for as long as you're alive.
Wow.
And so the effects are very damaging.
Absolutely.
Because it is jagged, edged cells going through your body.
Wow.
And then because the cells are basically dying off, because that's what they're doing by sickling, you're lacking in oxygen, and the white blood cells begin to fight off the red blood cells because it's now a foreign object in the body.
Right.
And then that makes you susceptible to any type of infection or anything else. So now your body's fighting an infection, your body's fighting itself, and the white blood cells are fighting the red blood cells. I mean, it just gets very overwhelming, and anything, you know, it can be anything from a headache to an ankle hurting to your wrist hurt. You don't know how it's going to affect you.
Right, and I was going to ask you that. So those are some of the symptoms. The symptoms obviously would be pain.
A lot of pain.
Right, a lot of pain. Is it chronic pain?
Yes.
Wow.
It's chronic, debilitating pain. If you can imagine like being stabbed repeatedly over and over and over again, wherever the pain lodges.
Wow.
That's exactly what it feels like. Glass. Like, it feels like literally like you have glass in your veins and in your bones.
So what causes this this disease?
Well, from my research and from what I'm understanding, it's I'm hearing that it's a lack of zinc. So it's like a vitamin deficiency almost, but that is just what I'm learning, like on my own, and the things that I've been investigating. Right. But as far as the medical community is concerned, it's just what happens in the body when you have a mutated cell. You know, it's something that, you know, comes down through the bloodline. That's hereditary.
Right, it's hereditary.
There's really nothing you can do about it.
Right. So in the research that you've been doing, you said it's a lack of zinc. How is that? Because I've always heard it was hereditary. So and it's prevalent in the African
American community.
Is African American or African?
African.
Just the diaspora.
Yeah.
So,
but that's the information that we've been told.
Right. Okay.
But they don't tell you that the disease actually exists in all cultures, and they're called by different names. So you can have someone who's Caucasian that has sickle cell.
Right, because I know when I had, the children, does anybody have the sickle cell trait? Like, that was a question that's on, and it's what I thought was primarily, they'll ask African Americans that, but you're saying Caucasians, they may ask it might be something different.
Yes, they're called by a different name.
Got it, okay.
And in different countries, Mediterranean, in that area, it's all called by different names.
Different names, wow. So how do you manage sickle cell?
Oh, that is it's difficult because it depends on your chemical makeup. It's an individual thing. Like for me, it's through my emotions. So whether it's good or bad, it will affect me some way, and that will bring on a crisis. So I have to really be careful with my anxiety levels, good or bad.
And you were a teacher.
And I'm a teacher. Exactly.
That's anxiety and stress all the time.
So, so I always had to be like very zen. Zen. Try to so hard.
Right, yeah.
And so that was one thing. And then even in the midst of a battle or going through a crisis, I still have to maintain that level of calm, which is impossible.
Right, absolutely.
So there'll be like 50 people be like, just calm down, I can't. Like, it's crazy. So you just have to kind of know yourself in that way. And then, of course, you can do things nutritionally to try to make it easier. Drink more water, eat, a certain amount of food, each day, like, have a
certain
steady
types of foods.
Make sure you have green leafies. So there are things you can do, but it does not stop you from going into crisis.
Right.
When your body, has had enough, you just will go into crisis.
Do you know when you're going in crisis before, like for yourself? Do you know? I know this is gonna.
It's usually too late by that time.
Got it.
It's usually too late. Wow. But I've been working on things. What I did is I retired in January from teaching, and so what I've been working on is trying to really learn what kind of sets it off. Like I really try to catch it right before. You can really
pay attention to it more, probably, right? Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So you're a teacher. Once a teacher, always a teacher.
Yes.
Why did you want to get into the field of education?
It's the family business.
Oh, okay.
I come from a long line of teachers.
Right.
And even right now, I have a nephew who's a teacher, and I have one of my favorite cousins who's a fellow at NYC right now. Like,
nice.
It's what we do, And I've always had a love for it before I even knew that it was a family business.
Right.
Like when I was 7, I literally, my dad would be there and he'd be the student, and I have my chalkboard because I asked for these things for Christmas. I want a desk and a chalkboard. who does that?
Right.
Me.
A future teacher.
Yeah. I just knew it.
And what would you say, you know, as a teacher, as an educator, is one of your happiest or proudest moments?
I have so many. My kids, I call them my babies.
Of course.
So I have this hashtag where I'm like, hashtag my babies are the best. I put that on social media all the time. And they see it and they like it because they know I'm talking about them. And I've just, since 2001 until now, there have been so many amazing, I can't pick one. It's just so much. You know, I've watched my kids just grow into these amazing adults.
Right.
That's
fascinating. It really is. Yeah.
It's wonderful. And then I've also watched them take on some of my characteristics because a lot of times when you're working with a particular school, you'll loop. So you'll stay with the same group of kids for a while. So to watch them as adults kind of mimic like things that I would say and do, it's so strange. It's so weird. I love it. So, but I just had so many amazing experiences with them.
That's a profession. It really is.
Most rewarding, I have to say.
It really is so rewarding. You know, it really, really is. So you're an educator in your bio, but you do all these other great things. How did you tie in since you have sickle cell and you are an educator, how did you decide, or what made you decide to tie those things together to help individuals that may be suffering from this?
It came to me because I never wanted to address the fact that I had sickle cell when I was younger.
Right.
That was never a thing. I mean, I opened up, somebody said to me a long time ago, like, oh, you should do research, you should do a paper on it. I must have been like in high school or middle school. Right. And I was a really good writer. So I went and I looked at the research, and the research said you would die at 18, and I said, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm all right with this.
I'm done. Right, exactly.
I'm done.
I hear that.
So after that, I just never pursued looking up any information about it. If it didn't have to do with me getting better, I wanted no parts of it.
Yeah.
But then I kept getting sick. And ended up in the hospital. And so then I started asking questions.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting answers to the questions. And I'm talking about people who have it, who've dealt with it, who've been in the public eye, who should have more information than me, because nothing.
Wow.
Advocators, nothing.
Nothing.
And so I said, this has to change.
Yeah.
I can't wait to die. Like, this doesn't even make sense.
Right.
And at that moment, that's when I started doing my research and I started speaking up about it.
Right.
You know, and then with my job, as much as I love my kids and as amazing as they are, it just seemed as though not everyone was as understanding about what I was really dealing with.
Right.
They didn't understand that it was life or death.
Right.
You know, not
because
my kids,
to look at
but
you,
the adults.
Right. Because to look at you, you look fine to me.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
With that,
and they don't understand it.
Right.
There's no awareness around it. They don't get what you're going through. They don't know how it affects your body. You know. So
that's when I started working with other teachers in the building, science teacher of my English department, this, that, the third, you know, and reaching out and saying, can we do some type of a school-wide thing where we can, you know, help the kids kind of understand. It's September, we're just coming back, you know, and they were very open and very receptive to it. And so we started doing these projects, that interdisciplinary projects that included everyone.
Okay, that's great.
And that is how everything kind of started. It all came together like that.
Nice.
You know.
So you do all types of fundraisers and things like that. I know you have an upcoming event, and I think we have a picture of the upcoming event. It's the
Squats
for Sickle-Cell.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Squats for Sickle-Cell, actually the fitness community came out to me and asked about this. I do my fashion show annually.
Let me talk about that too, but go ahead.
Sorry,
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah. And with that, one of my spoken word poets, the Fitter Woman, she also was a vendor at the event. She actually is a teacher as well.
Okay.
So Olandina, shout out to Olandina. And she came to me and she said that her and her friend Jen, they had this idea, Squats for Sickle Cell. At the time, I didn't realize that her friend Jen was also a bodybuilder. And the Fitter Woman is a bodybuilder as well.
Oh, okay.
It's the first time ever where a fitness person ever said, you know, yes, I want to help.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And so we went in on it and we decided to work together.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome.
So that'll be December 8th.
That's December 8th. And so tell us things that people can kind of reach out to you and get more information about the work that you're doing with sickle cell awareness and you know, raising money for it. That would be great. So everybody could see that. And where else can people reach you? Is there any other contact information that people can reach you at?
If people need to contact me pertaining to sickle cell advocacy or about the fashion show itself, they can call me on my cell at 631-991-0010.
Okay. Well,